This is Business and Economy, where we make analysis on how to advance the nation's economic growth and development, and today on how to unite Nigerians for a better delivery of government's initiatives and reforms. I am EMEJE. Nigeria celebrates its 65th independence anniversary to mark Nigerians' Independence Day recently. While commemorating the day, economic stakeholders, including the presidency, ministers, governors, and prominent Nigerians, emphasized economic growth and sustainability, as well as the need for unity. In their speeches at different fora, some governors, including among others, Lagos State Governor, Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos, and Oyo State Governor, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo, urged for the unity of all Nigerians while highlighting the giant strides on economic buoyancy resulting from the various reforms of the federal government. Calling on residents to contribute their quota to the development of the state and the country at large, they stressed that national growth can only be achieved through unity and collective efforts, irrespective of their religious differences and ethnic nationalities. Calling on residents to contribute their quota to the development of the country, they stressed that national growth can only be achieved through unity. According to them, the need to suppress tendencies that divide the nation and focus on things that lift the country has become necessary, pointing the vision of unity and prosperity. And so today on the program, a human capital engineer who is also the initiator of National Cake Box, Mr. Victor Prince Dixon, will be joining me after the promo to discuss on the topic we caption as Nigeria at 65, Uniting Citizens for Better Delivery of Economic Policies and Programs. Stay with us.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Our guest, who is a human capital engineer and creator of National Cake Box, Mr. Victor Prince Dixon, is right here with me in our studio, and he will be bringing us to the understanding of how Nigerians can be better united for more growth and development of the nation. Prince, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Happy 65th anniversary of Nigeria.
Happy new beginning, that's what I would say.
Happy new beginning, right? Okay, that's a very good one. Interesting to know. Okay, now, Nigeria is 65 years. We are celebrating our 65th independence anniversary. Generally speaking, how do you think we have fared over the years? Generally.
Well, you see, when you use the word generally, that's the problem. The problem is that I teach business, and one of the things I teach also is what I call productivity. And then for you to really know how productive you are, first and foremost is you must learn to measure. You must learn to say, this was where we are, this is where we are where we are now, and this is where we are going to. The challenge with Nigeria presently as it stands is that we really do not have a picture of where we want to be. And so it's difficult for you to measure that against how far have we come towards that. And so that has always been the challenge. So it's difficult to measure. You can only come from the place of gratitude. And what is the place of gratitude? Thank God that we are one. Thank God that democracy is still working. Thank God that we are not scattered, we are not a refugee country. Thank God that to a large extent there are some wins that we have. And I'm a strong believer of what I call always highlight the good, the bad, the ugly. So despite the fact that we have our own challenges, there are some good things to celebrate for. But for those of us who have bigger dreams, for those of us who cannot wait for Nigeria to come to its real potential as it is, we can always say that we've not done so well in that regard. But the challenge is that we have not had a very clear national vision, what you may call the Nigerian dream. That is where the challenge is presently.
Okay, now, you said if you talk about the generality of it, we have a problem. Okay, in specific, as a business coach that you are, do you think we have fared well in business and investment environments so far?
No, there's no argument we have not fared well on that. Now, you see, we're coming into context, we're not fared well. Fared well in the sense that you're dealing with people who have a country that has one of the best arable land in the whole world. So you now ask yourself, in terms of agriculture, have we done the best out of that? You're looking at the country that have some of the best natural resources in terms of what you call earthy minerals and the rest. Will we say we've done that in... No, you look at a country that have what they call a youth board, meaning you're having the strength, creativity and innovation at the highest level. I mean, you have young people that can bring ideas to the table. Most of them are unemployed. Most of them are outside school. Most of them don't have a good platform to express that creativity and innovation. You see, in that context, you wouldn't say we have done so well. And I think that is where most of us are pushing for, to say we can be better, so we cannot be comfortable with the few wins, the few celebrations we have. Basically, that would be my position.
And okay, again, you will agree with me that we need infrastructure to develop business environment and then investment environment, as the case may be. What can you say in that regard?
Yes, we need infrastructure, but that's also part of the problem. You cannot put the horse before the cart, and I think that's usually the cart before the horse. One of our challenge in that area is this. Infrastructure is good, but the first and the most important thing we must give Nigerians is this. First, we must understand that Nigerians are the one that will develop Nigeria. So the place called Nigeria is dependent on the development of Nigerians. And for you to help Nigerians first, you must give them a sense of unity. You must give them a sense of direction. Because ultimately, where there is no vision, it becomes difficult for people to bring their best to the table. So the argument for most of us is this: yes, the roads are picking up. Yes, you cannot deny the fact that electricity also is picking up. Yeah, some people will still have some difficulties in that. But you can celebrate that. But for us, and because of the kind of work I do, the focus is on the word human capital. Meaning, how do you develop the people that will develop the nation? And for that, we have not really fared very well on that area.
Okay, again, at 65, Nigeria appeared polarized in recent time than where we were at independence. That's 1960, across regional, tribal, and religious lines. And because we are divided, it seems to me that the division has also slowed our growth and development a little bit. How did we get here, if I may ask you?
I think, no, that's wrong to say a little bit. worse. Yeah, it's very, very bad. You see, that's what actually the point of emphasis is. That's why I said, for many of us that may not celebrate the best of road and the best of electricity, it's not that we are blind to those celebrations. But what we are saying is that the disunity is causing more havoc than good. That is where our point of emphasis is. Because there is no clear direction. We have not successfully harmonized Nigeria in a real sense of the day. If you really get to engage some people on the street, they will tell you first, I'm a Yoruba person before I'm a Nigerian. They'll tell you first, I'm an Igbo man before I'm a Nigerian. So even the agitation you're having with Biafra is still on the table. You have Ududu who are coming up, it's still on the table. Most of those discussions is affecting how we move, because progress is in unity. Now, in a country that is not fully united, it's going to be going back in terms of progress. So the challenge so far in Nigeria, for me, the road is just consequential. It will come. The electricity is not the big problem. The big problem is that how do you make an average person in Nigeria to feel Nigerian? You see, it is only when that person feels Nigerian, then the person believes that it's good enough to now contribute into the system. They can now bring their creativity to the table, bring their vision and their passion to the table. Now you can talk about building a country. So for me, I believe that the biggest tax, and that's why I use the word a new beginning, the biggest tax for us presently in the country is to see how do we harmonize people. Because it was a deliberate and a very intentional structure by the colonialists. They built division into the system. For most people, yes, they built it into the system. Because if you remember the proverb, what's the proverb? The proverb said, when brothers are fighting, strangers will inherit the property. Yeah. Fine. So if you can succeed in making sure that even though we are neighbors, but I tell you we are different, we don't have anything in common. And every time you talk to an average Nigerian, the first thing they are telling you, oh, 1914, oh, 1914, oh, 1914. They just brought us together, amalgamated us, nobody asks us whether I want to be together, and they put us together. Go check. Most people, that's their point of argument consistently. So to a large extent, they don't even believe that they belong to a Nigeria. I mean, these are people that are using Nigerian passport. These are people that are working in Nigerian parastatals. These are people that are earning and making money, building their family in Nigeria, yet do not believe that they are Nigerians. You see the conflict, that's the problem. That conflict of not owning Nigeria is the conflict why people are not bringing their best to the table for us to get the result we want to get. And the reason is because most people don't even know the history of Nigeria. Because, like I always will say it, anyone who don't know the history cannot know the future. Because if you don't know your history, then tomorrow will look like a mystery. So it will be looking as if you're not sure. Where are we coming from? Did Nigeria actually start in 1914? Before 1914, didn't we have a elite group that were doing well? Didn't we have neighbors? Didn't we have the Yoruba in partnership, in collaboration for trade, being, neighbors and working together? Didn't we have Hausas and Igbos trading together? We have people that were working together. But somewhere along the line, someone succeeded in selling a foreign narrative for us that even though we are neighbors, we are not the same. Even though we are neighbors, we are too different to work together. So at the end of the day, rather than celebrate our commonalities, we now make sure we emphasize the little differences we have. And I always tell anybody, what exactly is our differences? Because when we come bring humanity to the table, today if you watch in terms of fashion, fashion, everybody will tell you Nigerian creative industry. But what they don't understand that, what the Nigerian creative industry have done that is making that industry do well is that that industry don't have respect from where you're coming from. No. That industry has succeeded in bridging. So you will see a cloth has a blend of a thief of a Yoruba, they blend it together. You see what they call a danshiki that has an ashoke blended into it. You see a film being told as a story. You see a husband and wife from different places. So they have succeeded in harmonizing Nigeria. That's why people are celebrating them. Even the Afrobeat, everybody seems to be celebrating. It's because also they have climbed above that parochial interest that everybody, they don't do different. Any industry that have succeeded in working above the differences, go check, the industry is thriving. And that is why, unfortunately for us, most people who call themselves politicians use our differences as a weapon against us. Anytime they want to seek for a vote, they remind you that you're a Christian and a Muslim. They remind you that you're from the north and from the south. And that is why we are it's becoming a big process for us. So for me and for many who understand, we are advocating for one thing. Before anything else, we have to seek a way, whether it's going to be a dialogue, whether it's going to be a discussion, whether it's going to be orientation, cultural shifting, but the key word, we must bring Nigerians to agree that we are together and we fight for this nation and make it work.
But we have had national confab and other meetings, national meetings over the years, I'm saying that they are not making any impact?
Yeah, they are making impact, but they are making impact in the dance, not in the real process. Don't forget, like I said, this is the entire process of division in Nigeria was a strategy of division of business for the colonialists. They just made sure that each unit of what you call the current Nigeria are not in good terms, because if we come together, we're going to ask them questions. If you come together, we're going to repel them. If we come together, there are things we will not accept. You understand? That slavery, that concept of, lording over us, there are things we will not accept, because by coming together, you notice that we are whole, we are complete, that we can trade and work and then build our dream together. They knew that. So early enough, they started sowing that division. Now, you can't take a division that took close to 150 years or thereabout to 200 years to sow, perfect, build, sponsor, and then you think one confab will settle it. It wouldn't. It is, over time, a lot of people have learned the arts. That's why if you ask certain people today, very intelligent, politicians, all of them well educated, but ask them about Nigeria, they'll tell you, first I'm a Yoruba man before Nigeria. And these are the same person that will still come out when they are looking for a position and tell you vote for me. That's to tell you that the damage already is done. You're dealing with the damage that has cut across generations. That has done with our grandfathers, happened to our fathers, happening to the younger one, and if you don't tame it, it's happened to the next generation. So do you think one event called a confab will solve it? No. It has to be, you have to be very intentional about it, about consistently building dialogue. Dialogue mustn't be one major event that comes once in a while. When was the last time we had that? It has to be a consistent discussion that happens everywhere. There are a lot of fragmented challenges we have in Nigeria that at home, when people are discussing, you will hear, be careful of the Yoruba man. Yoruba people are betrayers. Be careful of the Igbo. Be careful of the Hausa people. They do it at home every day. So with that kind of discussion, do you think it's something that will happen overnight? No. And that is why most people will tell you that national orientation are not doing enough. Because if they understand that's the damage that is affecting the fabrics of Nigeria, then they will know that if there's any message that needs to be pumping out, is the unity, togetherness, how we are together, the differences we have and how we can walk above those differences. That should be the consistent message. How many times do we hear those messages? Then if somebody give you a message of division more than the message of unity, how will you be united? Let's be honest.
Well, the National Orientation Agency has come up with one, is it advert or promo about how to unite Nigerians?
Again, like I said, somebody has a sickness. If you go to the hospital for treatment and they ask you the history of your sickness, they will always make sure they give you the tablet according to the history. They will say, take one in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Take it for 6 months. Is that not what they say? So if we don't take the treatment, the solution, consistently, commensurate enough to fight the damage that has been done, do you think one advert will do it, one promo will do it? That's the problem. The issue is that we have not owned up the fact that, look, most Nigerians have been built to have disunity as their default setting. So it is our duty through media, government, agency, partnership. I am shocked that as a center, now you have ASO TV and ASO Radio. I am even shocked that some organizations and parastatals are not in constant harmony with you guys. To make sure consistently, what can we do to change the average mind of a Nigerian person that have gone through difficulty, challenges on seeing how division made them lost opportunity? How do we reconfigure that mind? That is supposed to be the discussion. To be honest with you, it is only when we are united, the speed of progress will shock you. Because if you go and check, what has been the problem. One of the challenges we have today is that people build, another government come and destroys it. And one of the major reasons is because we have a faulty concept of what we call national cake. Our major challenge with the definition of what we call national cake is come and chop. So anytime anybody hear national cake, they are looking for either a shovel or a knife. As in, which one am I going to cut? Whereas the discussion is not supposed to be that. The core discussion is supposed to be, if that is the case, the focus should be, what am I bringing to the table? How do we bake a very good cake? What do we put? What ingredients? What's the size of cake we should bake so that everybody will have their share? I'll tell you something very painful you may not have paid attention to, and most people may not realize. It is this mindset of consumption that have created what we call the region. It is this mindset of consumption of national cake that has created what we call political parties. It is the mindset of consumption of national cake that has brought the concept of saying, when you are on your own, I won't disturb you. Chop your own so that my turn will come, I will chop. And it is the mindset of chop, I chop that made us don't have what we call meritocracy. The reason why, because immediately I'm thinking of who is good on the job, the person comes, tell me their name. and I change. Suddenly, I realize it's coming from a different place. That is not my place. And this is our turn to eat. So why should I bring a stranger to come and eat with me? So the next thing, that's why meritocracy doesn't work. That's why we don't look at who is the best man, the best woman for the job. Bring the person to deliver. We can't discuss meritocracy as long as we are looking at Nigeria as you cut your own, I cut my own. Bring your shovel, I bring my knife. Because there's no unity.
Now, we are talking about national cake. You are the creator of national cake. What does it mean? How do you think national cake can unite us together? Unite all Nigerians together? How achievable? How possible? What is it?
Basically, what national cake is this. Now, like I told you, I've done a lot of work. My work is to teach people what they call culture. My strength is what they call cultural intelligence. You look at how do you build people? How do people become the way they are? And like I always easily put it in context, for you to understand human engineering well, is this. There are two kinds of people on planet Earth. And you have what they call human assets, and then you have what they call human liabilities. Human liabilities are those who don't have capacity to provide value. So their work is they come into a place, they eat what other people already have provided. So if they come into a relationship with you, they don't bring things. They're looking for what do you have, we eat from it. So if you bring them to an office, they are calculating, what can I cut from this office now? This office must have something to eat. So even if you bring them into serving Nigeria, the first thing they are calculating, what is Nigeria foreign reserve? What is it we can eat? So consistently, they are eating. And these are the people that make us not to progress. On the other side, you have what they call human assets. Human assets are people that they will take, but their emphasis is that they add more than they take. So even if you bring them to a relationship, they might take from you, but at the end of the day, you notice that you got more from them than they got from you. If you move them to an office too, it's the same thing. When they come into an office, they will take from the office, but the emphasis, they must grow the office more. If you also bring them for national service, it's the same mindset. They make sure that because I am here, I must add value to the table. Now, these are the two people. Nigeria as a country has more human liabilities. People want to eat from Nigeria. Constantly eating from Nigeria. Now, why? Because of, like I said, the concept of national cake. Come, make I chop my share. So I knew that that was the major reason that is affecting governance, election, and all of them. If you check election, it's the same thing even for politicians. The argument is not competence. The argument is, now your turn last time, now my turn this time. That's why we're not discussing progress. Because consistently, now turn by turn game. So knowing that national cake is at the bedrock to what is driving that mindset. I'm a mindset person. The kind of work I do is changing mindset. So since I knew that was the major thing people were driving at, I decided to attack it headlong. And that was why I created a game called National Cake. And what is my argument? First is, I want to change people's mind from thinking it's consumption to say, nobody's stopping you from consuming. But can we start from baking first, then consumption? So you are asking, what am I going to bring to the table? If you bring me for service, what am I going to bring? If you call me to serve Nigeria, what am I coming to make Nigeria better? I made Nigeria 2.0. Can I take Nigeria to 3.0? That is the thinking. If you have that kind of mindset, national cake is not a problem. Everybody will get their share, but with a responsibility. So it's a responsibility plus consumption. That was the first thing I wanted to attack, and that was why I named what I did call national cake. The second thing I did simply was to ask myself, what are the challenges of Nigeria? The biggest problem of Nigeria is that Nigerians don't know the history of Nigeria.
You think so?
Yes, I can tell you without fear or favor. For instance, now, let's do a practical. Go out there and ask. We are presently at the center of Nigeria, right? Yeah. Fine. How many Nigerians know it? Even those in Abuja. I'm talking about, check to parastatals, check to the ministry level, check the permanent secretary level. Please go at Vox Pop and ask how many of them know where they call the center of Nigeria. So if you don't know something as easy as a spot called the center of Nigeria, that is very feasible and well positioned at the federal capital. So what do you know about Nigeria?
You know Abuja.
That's a question. So if you know Abuja, you think you can fix a country, you really don't know its history. That's where the fault line is. Most people don't know the history, how Nigeria got to where it is today. What they always start is 1914. But a lot happened before 1914. A lot happened that influenced 1914. There are certain things that happened then, that happened today, that is influencing, that is going to influence 2027. Most people don't know. You cannot correct and will help a country when you are ignorant about that country. That's the problem. And because of that, that's why I will also give it to this government, because the new curriculum of recent made sure history was more prominent, yes. So let's give respect to them. They have done that. The next question is that how do we accelerate that? How do we make sure that works? How many books will teach people? Okay, history as a subject is there, but which books are you talking about? And also, if you know about what they call innovational learning, you will know that books are not the only thing. In fact, books presently are the secondary things you use in teaching people. Innovation learning, people have moved from there. And that was why, in trying to teach history, I decided to create a game. That's what I did. National Cake actually is a game. I decided to create a game on the history of Nigeria. So what I did was that I brought 160 events and policies that have shaped Nigeria to this point. From 1800, yes, 1800 to 2025. That's what I put there. Secondly, I decided to also predict the future. What are the things that will happen that Nigeria will get it right in the next 50 years? So I also put together what I call, using developmental indices, I projected the things that need to happen in Nigeria in the next 50 years to give Nigeria a face, just so that we can know our past and easily predict the future. This is what I put together into a game. Why? Because the challenge of learning is, if you give people books, it becomes difficult. How many will you read? How many pages will you read? But I reduce it to what I call a family game. So that the more people are playing, father can teach children, mother can teach sons. And even in the challenges that brought Nigeria, the challenges that forged Nigeria, challenges that made people lose interest. There's this thing I normally call, Madam Queen, there's something, some people, most Nigerians now are ex-Nigerians.
Ex-Nigerians?
Yes, yes.
How?
You know the way you have relationship and you have ex. People who know, they are in Nigeria, they are using Nigerian passport, they are using Nigerian food, but they don't believe in Nigeria anymore. So majority of Nigerians are in that context. They have lost faith in Nigeria. These are people who are saying, "Where will Nigeria be?" They say, "Forget the country is going nowhere." But they are in Nigeria.
Going somewhere.
But we are going somewhere. That's what I'm saying. So that's why the necessity to make sure you bring those people back. If you don't bring those people back, no matter the policy, is a problem. Have you not seen where we started doing our road lines and people went and stole it? The panels. That's what I mean. Have you not seen good roads and then eventually you now have what you call it, the drainage system, all those potholes, and people go and stole it? Have you not seen street light and people go to destroy it? Why do you think they do that? Because they don't believe in the country. That's the damage people don't understand.
I thought it's because of poverty.
No. A thief is a thief. Poverty don't make you a thief. No, let's not enter that area. A thief is a thief. That's why you have thief even in high places. So it's not money that makes people thief. So if you understand that, then you understand that whatever the policy you bring on the table, if people don't buy in the vision of Nigeria, the continuity in Nigeria, you'll be building, people will be destroying. You'll be building, people will be destroying. And then after a while, you might even get tired of building. There's a lot of progress we have made before now, but there are people beside that are just destroying that progress. Because for them, they have come to that conclusion. Look, Nigerians, in fact, do you know what? That's why most people are fighting a lot for Jakpa. You think Jakpa, people will come and just start to go to Jakpa. I will tell you the history of Jakpa. Our education system is the reason that caused Jakpa. A young child of 3 years gets into school. The first time you're introducing that child, you're introducing the child to American curriculum. British curriculum. The first time that child is seeing a politician, a leader, is either Winston Churchill or Abraham Lincoln. The first time the child is seeing where they are fighting to build a country, either as a UK, a US, a Spain, or somewhere. The first time that child is seeing innovation is by a white person in a white skin. The next time that child is seeing innovation is anything intelligent the person has seen. That's what they call the first mirror effect. Meaning that the first thing you expose to a child between 11 and 3 to 11 years, it becomes that child anchor. It sticks. That becomes that child baseline. So on the average, an average Nigerian, before he goes through that process, Nigeria has left their mind. They know nothing about Awolowo. They know nothing about Zik. They know nothing about... All those people don't just exist. They're just there. You see them occasionally as picture. What is their philosophy? What's their ideology? What did they stand for? What was their good? What was their bad? Their ugly? At least let's discuss it and learn from it. They don't know. But ask them to make a quote. The first thing they tell you, Abraham Lincoln said... Ask them who is a leader, the first thing they tell you is Winston Churchill.
That's even going to football.
So if you have damaged people not to even believe on the existence of their place, That's why for them, the best thing that can happen to them is a visa. Now, traveling out of the country, you should be a global citizen. Anybody who's not a global citizen now, really you're living behind. But however, you should also have your country. In the globalization, there is localization. So there must be that balance between, I love my country, but I'm going somewhere. I will tour the country, tour the whole world, enjoy myself, but my country I will defend. Now, when that has been taken away from the mind of a young person, the person don't see Nigeria. That's why you see most young people don't believe in Nigeria. That's why they can talk down on the country, even though they are in the country. They walk the soil of the country, they breathe the air of the country. Yet they can insult the country. Because to a large extent, they don't see the country as anything that has a future. And that's why for me, in the midst of everything the government is doing, every parastatal and organization is doing, they need to harmonize Nigeria. Give a young person a dream called the Nigerian dream. If we don't succeed in doing that, that same young people, the day they get angry, they will turn their energy against us. So whatever we think we have built is waste of time, because if 60 million Nigerians enter the street today, the young people, everything we build will go to ashes. Just know that and no peace. So anybody who knows that should be smart enough to know that we must give these guys direction so that their energy is pointed towards our vision. Their anger, their passion pointed towards the anger, towards the direction of Nigeria. If we can't give them that direction, that energy, the day they get angry, it will turn into what we have built. And if they turn into what we have built, believe you me, see, when young people lose focus, lose energy, and then they just go haywire, it's not a funny thing. I'm telling you.
A lot of analysts have raised concern on our curriculum. What do you think the government should do at this point? Because, like you said, developing children from that age, if you lose out, you have lost it forever. What do you think we can do at this point with our curriculum, Nigerian curriculum? I had a guest on the program sometime on the economy and agriculture, and the guy was expressing concern on the same curriculum, and he used an example that I should go and get a primary school, one of the textbooks of being used in primary school, that the only picture you see, either Africans or Nigerians, is where they are talking about poor farmers. The kind of picture you see we make you to run from this country. What do you think? How can the government change this narrative? And you, as a human capital engineer, what are you doing to synergize with the government in changing our curriculum to meeting our immediate environment?
First, the first mistake most people make is that they think a curriculum is what you write on textbook and you give education. No, that's not a curriculum. The first thing about a curriculum is you must have a vision. Rule one. If you don't have a curriculum. You just have what you call a book designed for indoctrination. Because you must have, this is where we are going to. Because we are going here, these are the things we will learn. That's how curriculum is designed. So vision first before you start dealing with the subject. Because for instance, if you have a vision to say we want to be the best in agriculture in the world in the next 15 years, you see, that's a clear vision. Now picking that, you now ask yourself, okay, who are the kind of people we need, what kind of graduate, what specialization do we need to come out in the next 5, 10, 12 years? Based on that, you now design what you call a curriculum. So that's how it works. The challenge we have, that's why you notice I started where I started, is the challenge we have is that we don't have a clear definitive direction. What we have is what we call the president aspiration. The president wants to. The president wants to. That is not the Nigerian dream. The Nigerian dream is collectively we have agreed in the next 20 years, this is where we're going to be. These are the kind of people we're going to have. It is when you have that, then you now bring it and now bring it down into now say education-wise. Everybody running school, whether it is private or whether it is public, this is the standard we will accept. Anything outside this will not accept. It's because we don't have a vision that makes most people, let me tell you what you need to understand how bad the thing has gotten to. Most people celebrate scholarship, but most people don't know what scholarship is all about. Every country around the world, especially the Asian country and the rest, they are suffering from what you call the youth problem. They don't have young people anymore. So they don't have creative people, energetic people. They don't have that. They don't have very critical minds in terms of young. Most people they have are elderly ones. Japan is in that state. Even China is in that state. Most people are really not very, very young. Nigeria has the young people. So what do? They need young mind, creative thinkers to be able to help them build their economy. So what do? They budget money. Nothing you call scholarship. They budget it in mind, knowing that there are Nigerian young people who are smart, but the government does not recognize that it's not building the platform for them. So let's come and give them scholarship. So you see everybody walking around, we're getting scholarship. No, they are picking the brain of the people that will build Nigeria out. Those people go out and build money. Now, most economists will sit down and confidently tell you, do you know our remittance? Do you know how much that comes from, outside the country in dollars that come into Nigeria? For me, that's one of the most embarrassing things I hear any government person say. I can understand an economic person say, not a government person. And I will tell you why. Do you mean that we are willing as a parent, I'm talking country now, to send your children out to take the best of who they are to build other people's country, and then they take a little out of it and give you, and you're happy?
Okay, let's talk about national cake. Now, you are the creator of National Cake Box. How do you think the box is going to help us to attain our unity so that we enjoy a buoyant economy? How?
Simple. Know your history, you will know where we got it wrong. It's everything. Look, in human engineering, in human capital engineering, the first thing you do, you empower a person. And how do you empower a person? You empower a person with knowledge and insight. One of the greatest weaknesses we have as a people is that we have not come into terms to understand the fact that ignorance is a weakness for a person, for a family, for a community, and for a nation. If your people are ignorant, they are going to be slaves. In fact, as a matter of fact, I've learned it and it's very painful, but I'll say it. The more ignorant you are, the more you're going to be a slave. It's as simple as that. So if you want to empower people, what do? You educate them. That is why if you have ever heard all the discussion around the world, they will tell you that the thing a country needs to move forward is education. Why? Because when you know, you do better. When you know, you improve. When you know, you can harmonize and get better. The challenge for me has always been, since most Nigerians don't know the history of Nigeria, if you let Nigerians know where we are coming from, they will do better. You have a very vast knowledge in agriculture. You and I know. But there's a project. Nigeria had a point in time called, can't remember the name of the project, but the entire essence of the project was that every local government have something, an agri product.
Okay. One state, one product.
Yeah, I don't think it was one. It was one local government. It was pay. It's not a state.
The local government.
Pay local government.
Program that.
Pay local. That's what I'm telling you. So imagine 774 local government have one thing. They have capacity to export.
Comparative advantage.
Do you understand that kind of advantage?
No.
It means every local government has the capacity to be rich. Agriculture. We are not even talking other solid minerals. We are not talking about the human capital that comes with it. Just only that. Just only that. I know there's a local government in Gombe, they produce what they call Burentura. Burentura, go check, it's one of the greatest healthy things. But because most people don't know this thing exists there, we rather go buy from big farmer than we buy from the agricon. That's what I'm trying to say. Immediately people get to know what they have. Because what ignorance does to you is that you will sit on wealth, but you won't know. You will die of hunger. So the essence of history for me, and that is what I'm pushing, is that with the National Cake Board Game, that's actually the full name, the National Cake Board Game, you will learn the history of Nigeria.
How are we going to
You will learn the mistakes.
How are we going to have
and then we build out of it.
How?
I think one of the best way, apart from those who want to contact us, the best way is that, thank God already we are doing a collaboration with you people, right? And on the 1st of November, am I right? Yes. We're going to have, in collaboration with ASO TV, I think I have to thank you for that. I need to thank you. Thanking you as a person, Madam Queen, for being at the head to spearhead this. We're going to have a discussion, and National Cake will be there on that day. So I believe on that day people will have it. But for now, if you just go and just Google www.nationalcake.ng, you're going to get all the details about National Cake.
Okay, I think this discussion we need to maybe repeat itself or continue. We have to continue in other cities.
It's a serious matter.
To enlighten Nigerians, to educate Nigerians. Both those are the government, the hem of government, the head of government in Nigeria, and those at the public or the private sector, as well as an ordinary Nigerian, to getting them to understand what the national cake is all about, who is eligible, how can we play it. Thank God we are organizing a national picnic, yes, where the national cake will be introduced and will be announced to all Nigerians. Okay, now in 1 minute, what would be your advice to all Nigerians about the program we are trying to organize, a national cake fiesta, that is a national picnic? In 1 minute.
My greatest advice would be we should be tired of getting angry and complaining about Nigeria. Okay. We are inviting you to come and join us. Let's discuss the next phase of Nigeria.
Eligibility.
Everyone can come. Every parent can. Actually, it's a family picnic. So as long as you're Nigerian, you have a family, please, you're welcome.
Okay, are we going to win some?
Yeah, definitely there are goodies. There are a lot of goodies. In fact, there's going to be music, there's going to be food, there's a competition, there are also goodies, a lot of good things that are on the table.
So in all, national cake will solve the problem. Do you think the national cake has the capacity to solving Nigerians' disunity problem?
I will say it this way. If we change our meaning of national cake to mean consumption, to meaning let's work together, it will solve Nigerian problem.
All right, if we change our narrative to consumption, from consumption to
shared responsibility,
of every one of us, it will be a very good development for all Nigerians, including all of us here and you out there. And that is the size of our package on today's edition of the program Business and Economy. The guest we have been speaking with is a human capital engineer, and he's also the creator of National Cake Box Board. Board game. All of us are preparing for the game and who want to win. Please make sure that you attend the national picnic so that you can win award, and also put our heads together to ensure that Nigeria's sustainability become a thing of the past. Mr. Dixon, Victor, we want to thank you. He's the human capital engineer and the creator of National Cake. I want to thank you for coming on today's edition of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and to you out there, our esteemed audience, we want to thank you sincerely for branching off. The program will continue in our other edition. We have them in series, maybe for about 2 or 3 series of the edition before the national picnic. Okay, do have a nice day. I am EMEJE saying, enjoy the rest of our programming.